So you obviously missed the game. You're supposed to be there covering it for the Chronicle.
Yes.
Ended up having to watch it on the TV back like us serfs, mate, didn't you?
Did so. Shows you though how amazing, without sounding like a papa, technology and that is these days, how whereby you can actually still do a match report. And I made clear, obviously on my Twitter, that it wouldn't be a kind of live. They said that I didn't even really need to do one, but when I was back in time I was like, I'm as well still putting something. There's still plenty to talk about, but just had to watch it. But you of course got a different perception when you're watching it, and I've said that I've been starting to take things better if I've been covering them when I'm isolated myself, but wasn't the case on Saturday watching it with my niece, my dad and my sister, who I don't think they were best pleased with me either.
How were you been crab it?
Apparently, aye, man.
Right.
But again, I had a lot to deal with, you know what I mean?
You did,
so
mate.
Technically working on the laptop.
Right, okay.
Dealing with a motor broke down and watching Kelly get beat and conceding after 50 seconds.
Well, I mean, the stats been going about. Stu Strachan got in touch and he sent me the actual tweet. So that's obviously, we're referring to Kilmarnock losing again on Saturday away for him. And I think it's the first time in like since records like this began that a team has lost a goal in the first minute of 3 consecutive away games.
It's
quite
almost like
impressive,
a made up stat.
Aye, it does sound like that.
And why would there be any records? Because could you imagine the chances of that? Like if you're everybody's mad for stats now, man, I would love to break down the statistical probability of a team doing that.
Aye.
And only Kelly, man.
Well, I never even seen it, mate. I was still through I was pouring my beer and come back through and I just heard Big Stevie shouting, that's 1-0 already, and I just thought, here we go. But we'll obviously get into that. We'll look ahead to Dundee United that's coming up, which is an absolutely massive game, simply as must win for me, mate, but we'll talk about that as we go on. We'll answer your questions on the X and on the Twitter and talk about everything else Kelly related as you've come to expect for this podcast. So let's start with Saturday. 1-0 at Pittodrie. It's not the end of the world because we very, very rarely get a result up there. Again, fairly competitive, I thought, mate. Tish obviously very unlucky, kind of hitting the bar with 2 different headers, and then that one, it was almost our own goal too. We competed well, I thought, man, and we stayed in the game. That was one thing right until the end. I thought the last 10-15 minutes it broke down slightly. I was expecting maybe a charge, but a wee bit like the Hibs game, it just never really quite came. But the time for performances, mate, they're done. Its results are everything now. So I'm feeling a wee bit deflated, actually. But some positives to take. Obviously, Max Stryjek back in goals, which I think is a great thing for the rest of the games this season. And obviously phenomenal to see him back after his health issues. And I loved the social media post he put out about that. Nicky, is it Klishenko? Is that what we're doing?
Klishenko, aye.
Done fine, I thought. Looked busy enough. Another option, which is good. But again, 0 points in the road. The worst away team in the league. The abysmal run continues. What's your thoughts on Saturday?
I mean, you can look at it in various different ways. We did compete for large parts of the game, but it's one of them, like, when you start a game like that, you already don't win away from him anyway, and now you're just getting teams head starts, like, reminiscent really the first season back up, where you're just like, the minute you go down, you're like, we're never coming back. Never mind you're going down that early as well. But as you've pointed out there, I think that if you're trying to look for positives, you've got to take something out of conceding after 50 seconds and only getting beat 1-0 by the time the game goes, and probably being the better team thereafter, because you could easily fold and you'd think they'd have their tails up and go and beat you by 3 or 4. But I think, the first 10 minutes was frantic from your point of view, and then we really grew into it, and I think that we probably were the better team. But I'm sick of saying that. It's easy sometimes to play when the game feels almost beyond you, and I know it shouldn't be beyond you at 1-0, but as I've just said, when you start games like that, then what chance have you got? In another day, you hit the crossbar 3 times, one of them's got to go in. But it's a sore one, but there were decent performance levels there, I suppose. I think to go on with what you were talking about, I think that the reason the game peters out, huge issue for me actually, is that there's just nothing off the bench there now. Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest frustrating thing, because we had that spell, that second half, up until the subs.
Up until the subs, the subs totally broke it down.
You're inevitably running out of steam, so you've got to change it. I get that, but we've just got no attacking threat off the bench now, because I welcome seeing Klishenko and Curtis both starting somebody in either wing, because we've probably been a bit too lopsided with Larson and Curtis down one side. So at least that balanced it out. But again, we've just got nobody else to bring on. And I know that Marley's not been his best this season, but at least I honestly believe that he still offers something. And I'm not having a go at Anderson or that personally, but I don't even recall Anderson touching the ball when he came on, you know. I just think that the subs regressed us, but I understand why the subs were made, because you have to change something. But I just think that it's almost like that thing that I've spoken about for years with Scotland, like when you start with Adams and Dykes, you're like you're only regressing from there if it doesn't work. You know, large parts of the game did work, but you're never kicking it on another level, because we just don't have the attacking quality there. But that's, you can only play with the tools you've got, I suppose.
That's the famous saying, you can only play with the tools you've got.
I was about to say something else.
Aye. You can only urinate with your own appendage.
Very true, man.
So, listen, we're second bottom of the league for a reason. The squad's not good enough. You know what I mean? And that's playing out every single week now. It is what it is. I never expected us to take anything. We haven't taken anything. The goal difference hasn't taken too much of a battering. It's one less game now that we've got, though, to get points. Luckily for us, or unluckily, depending on what Livingston decide to do now, St Mirren lost their game at home, so nothing changes in that front. Dundee looked ragged yesterday too, which has given me a bit of hope. Aberdeen are obviously way into the distance now.
Well, what? Aberdeen?
Aye, I know. No roasted cheese for me. Did say that. If we finish above Aberdeen Football Club, I'll eat 2 slices of roasted cheese.
That's far too. Ken, we wrote them off far too soon.
The roasted cheese is safe for another week. But it's all about this game on Saturday now, man. It's absolutely massive. They need to go and win on Saturday, because the games are running out. That's it. We're on the precipice now of one bad Saturday consigning us to the playoff, because we lose on Saturday, and St Mirren and Dundee United who's St Mirren playing? Do you know? I have to have your head now.
Dundee.
Right, so they obviously both can't win. But that's what I mean. You're a 90 minutes now away from being like, right, we're in the playoff, and we've got to win on Saturday. That's the way I feel about it. I think we're very capable of winning. Dundee United's season is essentially over. I always buy into the theory that helps you, though, because I think they can be relaxed maybe and just come down and play. But they're all massive now, mate. And one thing's for sure, I have a target now for this football team that I support, to get to the last day of the season and still bring me a chance of no finishing that in the playoff. I think any idea that we'll be clear by Livy is pie in the sky. I honestly think that. I think we're going to need to go to Livingston and get something on that last day. I just hope that it's maybe got up there and we maybe do enough over the next 3 games to go up there and go a draw secures 10th. You know what I mean? That I think that's probably the best you can hope for at this stage. But the team haven't picked up enough points, mate, all the season, and it's got to change on Saturday. They've got to win. That's my feeling.
Aye, 100%. I think that Saturday is a must win if you're talking about where you're actually want to finish, because we don't win away from home. We've got to win our 2 home games, particularly when we dropped points the last time at home to Dundee. And we've got to rectify that by beating both Dundee clubs at Rugby Park for any chance of getting out of this. I don't buy for a minute that we can get away with no winning on Saturday. We don't win on Saturday, we're consigned to the playoffs.
How do you think it's at that stage?
Aye, because we just got to, again, is it outweigh the realms of possibility that we can beat St Mirren? No, it's doable and we can go to Liv, but again, the evidence doesn't back up. We don't win away from home. We need to win our home games, and we've been pretty decent against Dundee United all season. Well, that's a good or a bad thing when you're talking about probability and all the rest of it. But I just think that if you're no picking up a win on Saturday, then you're like, right, so where are the wins coming from? Where will be 3 games to go?
Aye, well, that's what I was saying right at the top of the show. The time for performances have been and gone for me, mate. Aye. It's about they've got to win now. It doesn't matter how, they need points on the board. We've got 12 points to play for. I think you're looking at a minimum. You need 8, 9 minimum, I think. What's your feeling on that with the last 4 games?
Aye, I would say so.
Aye. I don't think you can get. I don't think 2 home wins will be enough. You need to pick up something away from home, and that's what I mean. I just hope we get to Livy and we're going up there and we take a big crowd,
Big support,
and it's like a point and we're safe or whatever, or a win and you're safe. So I just hope we get it to the stage where it's in our horns. But this is it now. We've been talking about this for months and months and months, getting right back to the dark old days under the Goth. We're here now, and it's like this is it. Like, let's make sure that's the best we can hope for now is that we've got 4 big games instead of 6 big games, because I don't think I can hack the playoffs, mate. I don't want it. I don't want to see it. Can't get myself up for it. I'm feeling Kelly fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
You getting it? You feeling that yourself?
Aye, particularly with the new role, believe it or not, because you think you'd be more invested, but you're a bit like stressed and you're not even
stressful. It's not been fun, hasn't it?
It's not been at all.
And it wasn't that fun last season either.
Nah.
So we need a wee kick up the arse.
That's what I think as well. But know that again, I didn't even make it to Aberdeen, and I thought the support was decent enough, but I was actually expecting a wee bit more going up as well. It was maybe just over 300, but I'm a bit like, so when it does come down to that then, and we maybe need to play Livy to, I mean, how many we realistically got to take, I just don't, my big fear, and it's a whole different podcast and potentially Pittodrie talking point altogether, I'm just worried about where the club are in general. I just don't think that, as much as we underperformed for times under McInnes, I always thought they were capable of the kind of big moments and we could go somewhere, whereas now I feel like we're acting and behaving like we probably are the 11th biggest club in the top flight, and that shouldn't be the case.
Interesting. There is a bit of flatness, mate, isn't there? And I think it's been probably for this time last year it's really kind of felt like that. I still think we've got a hangover for Europe, man. Like I said that weeks and weeks ago, I still think that big king for the support, it was like almost we reached the top of the mountain in Bruges, and then getting that win in Tromsø and then playing that big team in Copenhagen, and for then it's like it feels like we've settled back into this kind of spot that I just feel like we're getting left behind a wee bit by the league. And I know the league's, it's a spectacular league this year. It's easily more interesting. You always compare it to the English league or whatever. Night and day, mate. Like every game's exciting, man, because of what's happening at the top of the division. And you've got Motherwell, who are a really, really good side to watch. The story with Falkirk. There's Dunfermline coming through and getting to a Scottish Cup final. Like, there just feels like St John's went on a great run. They're getting promoted. Like, there just feels like there's things happening all throughout the league, and we're being left behind, and I don't like it, man. It's kind of shite, innit?
Aye, and another big one there, and I know that they're in the mess with us here, but St Mirren winning the cup again.
Aye, there you go. Even them, they've had a shit season, but they've still done that.
Aye, went beat Celtic in a cup final.
Aye, you know what I mean? So I feel like we really need to we need to win on Saturday, and we're going to need to get a big win away from home, man, but we'll cross the bridges when they come to it. Right.
I've got the actual saying.
Right.
That obviously, like, play the hand you're dealt, or play the cards you're dealt.
Play the cards you're dealt, mate. That's what we need to do.
Just apologies to them that offended by, I don't know, workmen and tools there.
Aye. What about the team for Saturday then? What are you going to go for?
I think Dees is suspended.
Interesting. Mail comes back in then.
Which we should get Flecky on the case for that, given he's really been monitoring Robbie Dees' yellow cards this season. So I think that, well, it's got to be Mail to come back in. Really, it'll be interesting to see if Shelty Brown potentially rocks up in Simon's danger, and then if Mail doesn't play, then
I would have brought Mayo on it for Brandon on Saturday.
So I think even that, I didn't even realise at the time, and it wasn't until I read in the forums that I was like, because you're needing to shift folk about. See, the only thing that and again, Thompson, I know we've got questions on it and we can cover that when they come up, but I'm like, I don't know whether the only thing going through McCann's head there is, as much as I think Mayo's is probably what we need there, but he doesn't strike you as really wanting the ball in the final third. And if you watch us now, that's where it's always our fullbacks that are getting the ball out there. So again, I can actually see the logic in what McCann was doing, and I think that, but again, Thompson's fair to get his critics, and you can't really say otherwise. But I think that when you're thinking, if you're relying on maybe the likes of Mayo to try and get balls in the box, it doesn't really suit him, does it?
That's a good point, man. I thought Tish was decent again. Very calm footballer, isn't he?
He's brilliant, and he, of course, he did the pre-match press and that, and just great chatting to him. Like, you can see how much he really cares about the club, and again, it's funny that he even said himself, obviously, spoiler alert for the piece that we'll get tomorrow, but it's so strange for him to be like, he's like the experienced guy now, and it's even more so when you consider that even his experience at the club, is far more than about 70% of the players that are already there, and he's only in the door really 9-10 weeks. But because he's been through it all before with us, and he's coming back and a kind of the cool head, and I just think that one thing's for sure is that he's what we wanted him to be. It's a shame that everyone else hasn't really. Well, we've done that. But Tish has definitely proven the type of player that he's capable of, and I think he's shown that more often than not now. So I think that hopefully we can put that to bed, and that he's definitely an asset to have at the football club.
I thought he was really good, mate, and it was just one of them. But like I say, I think the vibe is results now in performances. We can kind of dissect them if we must, but really, I'd have rather played absolutely shite there and won 1-0 than played pretty well and get beat. I think that's the stage we're at.
Goes without saying, I completely agree.
Right, we'll go across and get your questions on the X and on the KillyFC.com forums. But before we do that, we're going to get a word from our sponsor, Nick, Allied Surveyors, and our new sponsor as well.
Plural, mate.
Aye, our new sponsor. We're delighted to have on board Jim at Gemmel's Van Sales Kilmarnock. So here's a word from both.
Allied Surveyors have been carrying out valuations and home reports across Ayrshire and in Kilmarnock for over 20 years. Company Director and lifelong Kelly fan Nick Davis is based here at 91 John Finney Street and is here to help you if you've got any questions or queries or are looking to get your home sold.
Hi, I'm Jim from Gemmel's Van Sales. We're a family-run business based down in Home Quarry Road in Kilmarnock. This business was started over 7 years ago from our house in Belfield, where I sold vans, and we gradually grew upon year. We supply all makes and models from small, medium and large to transit tippers, to 4x4s, to Luton vans. If we don't have something in stock that you're looking for, we would be more than happy to source it for you as well. So if you're in the market for a van, drop down and see us at Home Quarry Road or give us a call in Kilmarnock 01563 657 870 or drop us a message on any of our social media platforms.
Alright, huge thanks as always to Nick. So if you're needing anything done in terms of getting your home valued, Nick was down in London, his wife was running the London Marathon.
I didn't realise that's what she was doing, but I saw the pictures and particularly take me back, the picture of Big Ben, and
there you go.
Thinking of the old job,
the glory days, mate. So well done to Jay, that was class. And obviously we're delighted to have Jim on board for Gemmel's Van Sales in Kilmarnock. They're at Home Quarry Road. Jim's a local guy. He's actually running doing the round the town for the Killie community. But we're going to get Jim on. He's going to tell us all about that, and we'll try and raise him a few quid because it's obviously a brilliant cause he's doing it for it. And Jim raised a lot of money for my daughter as well.
He did so.
Our new magical wheelchair.
What did they do for that? Like,
he was running the town.
Was it running the town for Faith as well? So and that was the year that you, of course.
That was the year we done it too. So him and Faith finished the race together. It was class, man. So Jim's on board, we're delighted. So Gemmel's Van Sales Kilmarnock, he's on our Facebook and all, maybe seen him on TikTok and everything. He's doing brilliant. So good guy for the top of the tune. Pop along and see Jim if you're wanting to get on the road for a van. Right, okay mate, let's take the questions, shall we?
Let's go for it, man.
Let's get down to business.
KillyFC.com forums first.
KillyFC.com forums first. Here we go. Barbino gets in touch. With Killie sitting on 0.82 points per game overall and struggling to score consistently, just 1.12 goals per match, versus an average of 1.94 conceded, is the club suffering from an identity crisis? Should we be focusing on defensive stability in the summer?
Oh, well, long for a team that was solid at home. I mean, if you recall, for our mad predictions at the start of last season, I said we'd have the best defensive record in the league. Then that was probably that was the start of this, wasn't it? Remember, I mean, for as bad as it was last year, it doesn't even touch the sides of what it's.
Aye, well, so we're on schedule to now have the worst defensive record in 23 seasons. I think 2003 we conceded a rake of goals, but I think it's up.
And that was probably not quite skewed because you still concede the goals over the course of the season, but that would have been Rangers and Celtic gone for the league. We played them both, and I think Rangers beat us 6-1 at Ibrox in October anyway, and then towards the end of the season we both play them and they're 4-0 fact.
It probably adds on 7 or 8 stupid goals that shouldn't have existed.
I mean, that tells you everything you need to know. But as you touched on, Max back in is huge, and I'm hoping that certainly settle things down. You're thinking, what the worst possible start? Like, you're thinking, brilliant, he's back, but nothing he can do about the goal, you know what I mean? But he makes a top save thereafter, and there was a couple of wee shaky moments. Like, Pitt's one tries to play out, and I think the Aberdeen boy kind of cuts it out. But other than that, I think that it's got to be a positive him coming back in.
Absolutely, mate. Right, Teeth Grinder gets in touch with the Aberdeen away game bye with plenty of positive to take despite the defeat. 2 home and 2 away versus our closest rivals looks favourable now with Max Nicky and Kyle McGuinness. We've got some reinforcements at the perfect time. Would you not agree? We've kind of covered that, mate. I would say we missed out Ginto. It's good to see him. I did do the Mr. Pigden when he came on.
What, in the Twitter?
Just to Big Stevie.
Just the
when we were watching the game. So I think that can only help me. I think you're right. Also, music question: what's the best cover ever? Easy by Faith No More for me.
Faith No More. Have you no slag Faith No More in here before?
Oh, have we?
I
That
think
might be
so.
one of the songs that the Goth was into.
Could have been.
That's kinda
Definitely made a case for POD, man.
What's your favourite cover?
Oh, there's a few.
Mm-hmm.
I like, I genuinely like Hendrix's cover All Along the Watchtower.
Aye, fantastic,
Brilliant,
mate.
really good.
Great shout.
Elevates it, man. Because there's so many things like Matthew, and again, sorry to Mr. Folds here, but Matthew makes a big deal of like Amy McDonald covering Dancing in the Dark, but like, it doesn't do anything.
Right.
Like, it's like, what does that really add to the song? It doesn't add anything to the song. He's like, you can't get away with covering that, nor like Wonderwall. It doesn't.
That's a really good point. I think you've got to make it your own, haven't you?
Aye.
If you're doing a cover. Aye.
So, I would go for that. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'll go for MacArthur Park with Donna Summer.
Okay.
You ken the song?
I can't really think off the top of my head.
No, it's Someone Left the Cake Out in the Rain. All that stuff. It was in Beetlejuice.
Oh, right, aye.
She did like a disco cover. It's a big epic song. Glenn Campbell does a brilliant version of it too, but I would go with that. It's a
Glenn
great
Campbell,
version.
the political report on BBC.
Glenn Campbell, the political report on BBC, does a brilliant version. Trump Tree asks, will we ever win an away game? Yes, we'll win an away game before the end of the season. Question is
it too late?
Is it too late, or will it be in the playoff?
Oh God, I wasn't even thinking of that, man.
Monday, the playoffs are Monday night. The playoff finals are Monday night. What are we going to do?
I don't know what we should do.
No, we need to do something.
But we need to be there.
I'm not going. Dillinger says, I'm an eternal optimist. He is. I came out of the ground on Saturday in high spirits at the news Livy had beat St Mirren. Genuinely think we can do this next weekend. I think we go above St Mirren. Then it's advantage odds ahead of our game away to them. Keep the faith. There you go. Lifting the troops there, Graham. Cheers, mate.
I like the positivity, man, but I don't know, I'm feeling a wee bit flat myself.
I'm feeling a bit flat tonight. Gal Dunk says, what are your thoughts on Dom Thompson? For me, Saturday sums him up. Misplaced passes are the norm. Deliveries from set pieces that literally never hit a Kelly player. Other than maybe some energy, what's he bringing to the team? Finally, quiz question. What's the only flag, national flag, that's not square or rectangular? I know the answer to that.
Do you know the answer?
I'm quite good with flags. I used to play flag games with Taylor all the time. We've got a wee box of flags and got interested in it. I think I know the answer. I've just read this for the first time. I'm not cheating. But
So what do you mean?
I think it's Nepal, Ken, where the Mount Everest is.
Aye.
So I think the flag in Nepal's like two triangles, red and blue. I think so it's not like a square, it's like a...
I'll go for that. So you were on Pointless, mate.
That's why I was in Pointless, aye. Right, Dom Thompson.
It's frustrating, isn't it? It is, and it's funny because I was thinking the exact same with like, again, just the delivery for set pieces. Although, I'm sure it was him that put the ball in when Tish hits the crossbar for the first header. And that was a good ball in, genuinely. And it was so bizarre because at the beginning of the season, his delivery was really good. I remember being up at Tannadice that day and the infamous away game that we keep talking about, because the only one we come back down the road with 3 points with, but in his delivery and that day, and there was a period where it genuinely looked good, but it's happening too often. Well, fans were on his back in that anyway, but all this recent stuff with set pieces all starts for that Hearts game. Remember that free kick, Curtis wins, and then like he overhits it, and it's just been like that every week now, and folk are getting more and more past that.
Strange that a sub comes on and hits all the free kicks.
Somebody made that point before, and what I don't get is, again, Kilty's delivery's good.
Aye.
Don't know why Kilty's not hitting them.
Listen, Dom Thompson, energetic, but about him going forward, I think. No brilliant, but he's just no for me, mate, as a player. He's just no my type of player. I just don't think he's not consistent enough. he's not tradesman enough. I like my fullbacks to be tradesmen.
David Lally.
Aye, David Lilly types. So, aye, good luck to the guy, but I'm ready to move on. I think he might be too.
I don't think that he's particularly happy. Again, just based off of the way that it's worked out, which is so bizarre because after the worst possible start with the Levy thing where they kept basically threw him under the bus, he went through a period of probably being our best
5 or
player.
6 weeks he was fine. Aye, he done well.
And then it's just fell off a cliff again.
It's not worked. Anyway, DMC says, genuine question, should we make not conceding early a sole objective of the first 10 minutes of St Mirren? I'd honestly consider having a set up 11 behind the ball. Sick of losing games before they've even started. I would just go to that, just can't keep happening.
Aye, like, when the away form is as bad as it is, you just can't keep continuing to start games like that. I'm with him because you're seen as we are growing into games and doing alright, but you're like, there's something not right if that's happening. Like, again, that's not, for it to happen once is a freak accident, twice horrendous, third questions definitely need asked.
I agree. TKB, with Mayo, Watson and even Lyons now not getting much of a sniff with the stakes so high, does it suggest they've signed contract elsewhere? And is McCann taking the approach of playing players he knows will be here next year? Understand everyone's entitled to get the best deal they can, be that with Kelly or elsewhere, and I don't doubt they will still be given their best if they're called upon, but if there's any grounds of the above is actually Lyons would make me the most uneasy as club captain. Aye, so right, so the club needs to choose captains with 2+ years in their deal, so essentially saying that even though Lyons was made captain, he only ever had a year's deal, blah 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 blah. I think there is a bit of that going on there, maybe.
I don't think that I'm not particularly sure whether any of them have signed new deals elsewhere, but I don't think he's far away with McCann probably, picking the guys that he knows well. Before him, this says we can Finlay Curtis is on loan, but he's one of our best attacking outlets. But with the permanent players that are here, I think there could be something in that.
So that's a really good point, mate. I hadn't thought about it. Confidemus 1869. First off, amazing to see Max back in goal. Matty Kennedy still nowhere to be seen. Heard he's fit but doesn't want to play. You heard anything? Conceding in the first minute again. Whoever had a worse defence, what would we give for Joe Wright? And apart from the awful start, I thought we were okay. Thank fuck for Livy. Keep our hopes alive. Kennedy.
Strange.
Very, very strange, mate. And
again, I don't think that he'll be playing.
No, it's petering out, and it's such a shame because he was such a good player for us. But that's new. I mean, he's only played for 2 years.
That's well over a year now. That it's really that Celtic game in November where he picked up the first injury, I believe. I think Maeda that took him out. We were really, really good that day as well. But he's just no. He came back and he had a wee cameo against somebody, didn't he?
Aye, that's right. He came on,
and he's it's so sad because what a player he's been for us, and you were hoping, but whether he'll be, I don't know. I can't see him maybe having many suitors. I don't know whether it'll be a case of whether he's maybe done with it, but I'm not too sure.
Sad. AI number 1. Do we need to employ a sports psychologist? Many teams have them.
Don't see the harm in it.
No.
But I think especially when you're talking about this away form.
If you were the sports psychologist and you were going into the training ground, or you were going into the hallowed space that is the dressing room, what would you say to them?
Many things I would want to say to them.
Aye, but as a sports psychologist,
what about belief and all that?
I don't know. How would you go?
Want to go back and find out about their upbringings and all that?
Aye, go right back to the start.
Find out what way they can have vote and all that as well.
Right, voting intentions.
Aye, voting intentions, correct. Don't know, I'd ask Neil McCann what it's like what Jim Jeffries was like for him. See if he'll maybe give some more an answer.
Bit more this time, aye.
But I don't know. You're the man that would be able to. You've got a bit more. I think can sometimes be a kind of good people person that way and can look below the surface a wee bit. But you strike me as the type, along with my big brother Matthew, who actually is a forensic psychologist, so not to do him any bad turn there, but downplay his role. But you strike me as getting to the bottom of stuff.
I would do the David Brent. I'd walk in and I'd kick open the door. I'd get out. Go on, get out. If you can't cut it. I'd go reverse psychology on them.
Did you see something? You seen Russell Brand's come back at
with
the
the
Piers
Bible
Morgan thing, but you seen that he's done something and eventually found the verse he was talking about.
Oh, right, no.
He said something there, but somebody quoted it saying, David Brent coming back in to talk about Dostoevsky.
Aye. Right, Bluebeard says, with Brandon out, surely Brannan or Mayo would fit into that hole. Whatever happened to Shelty Brown, by the way, I still think we'll finish 10th. So Brandon will be out. Do you assume it will be Shoring Larson at right back and the much maligned Dom at left back?
It depends whether this is true about D's been suspended as well.
There's going to be
that. But then you're like talking, you're playing like a left back and right back, and then you're moving folk. Again, it's. I honestly don't know.
I don't know, but interesting to see, won't it? Panic Val says, have you seen enough from McCann to suggest that he can make us solid and organised? Since once he gets his own players, style is much better, but still leaking a lot of goals. Don't think it's sustainable.
I think that we're, without a doubt, easier on the eye. We look better going forward, but the defensive issues are there. And one of the, I don't know, maybe slight concerns he said when he got the job that he's learned a lot for his time at Dundee. When he was, of course, manager there, and folk actually forget the job that he initially did. Like, keeps him up, and then he has a good season as well. He gets a full season the year after and does fine, and then it's more so into that kind of second full season where the wheels come off a wee bit. But I watched them a few times. Like, I covered them, watched them play Thistle and all that, and they were brilliant. Like, really, really good to watch. Some right good players. Glenn Kamara, that Rory Deacon and all that. I liked all them. But they just couldn't keep the ball out their own net, and again, they're really seeing shades of that here. So, but again, as we keep having to reiterate, and you summarised it really well in the forums, if he keeps us up, then it's job done. And then it's a chance for him to really see in the summer when he gets his own defenders that are more suited to his style of football. And we don't need to keep putting Sean Larson playing right back and all the rest of it, you know what I mean? And he'll sign players that are really accustomed to the way that he hopes to play. And for all, a big thing that stuck out for me as well, so I kind of keep going on here, but like, folk are like you talk about how well Motherwell are playing now. Their defensive record's incredible. They're not set up to bleed games out. They're there to play it for the back and have a go, yet they've got one of the best defensive records in the league. So who's to say that can be us into next season? But again, it's probably a big ask. But I just mean that you don't need to just be boring.
We can have both.
You can have both.
You can be defensively solid and get nice to watch. Kelly Nice asked, do we keep McCann next season if we go down?
It's that tough one. Again, I think we've kind of covered this most weeks, and I think that you've got, for me, that's always, particularly with a club like Kilmarnock, you've always got that black mark against your name. But potentially, well, the Patreon, we've got to talk about Alex Dyer. And we'll probably lead on to a deep dive in Tommy Wright at some point, but there was still more than enough games for Tommy Wright to keep us up. But do I fully blame him for the relegation? No, because I think the damage was probably done before he got in. But you look at it, facts of the matter, there's still enough there, enough games to keep us up. But what I will say is, when McCann's come in, I would have, if you told me we'd have been in this position, I would have taken it, because I honestly thought we were done. I thought we'd be bottom of the league, honestly, with the way things were going. After getting beat for Dundee in that cup game, then getting hammered at Motherwell and that, honestly. So I would have, again, perspective's important. I
know, that's a good way of putting it. I do think it is simple, though. I think if he keeps us up, it's job done and we go again. I think if we go down, it's either we finish bottom of the league or we've lost in a playoff to a championship team, and it's unacceptable. That's my vibe on it. But I think, to answer the question, I think I'll be the manager next season regardless.
So I think that's it. Again, it's quite interesting and changes it up, because I'll throw back at you where you're like, aye, because if we do go down, chances are it's the playoff. Like, surely we don't automatically go down if we pick up points next week. I think that's near enough impossible. But you look at, though, Valakari at St Johnstone, stuck with him because it wasn't really his fault they were in that position, and they've romped the league and kind of come back up, romped it to an extent. And also Jim Goodwin, who I think now is Dundee United's like
second longest serving manager.
Aye, for McLean.
The last 50 years or something.
And you're like, he was a manager when they got relegated. And again, the same thing, like, damage was done, but it was probably the United fans would have thought, well, it was still enough time to keep us up. Remember, we relegated that night, so they were still in it. But again, they've kind of persevered, and he's ended up, again, they're no outstanding, but he's got them to Europe, and again, he's their second longest serving.
I think it's a moot point, because I think he'll be the manager anyway, regardless of what's happening. But right now, as it stands, I think relegation's a big failure. LH31, can you do the Billy Mehmet celebration again?
You did this thing?
I don't remember it, so
I don't remember it either.
I actually genuinely don't remember it.
I remember he moves his hands like this.
Alright.
It's like a kind of disco type thing.
Alright, okay, I should play that Donna Summer song I was talking about, and you could do it. KFC Super Team, cracking show, lads, thanks mate. Why is there this myth that the playoffs are heavily weighted for the Premiership team? Championship finishes this Friday and the playoffs begin alongside the rest of the Premiership fixtures that hit for one midweek. So actually Dunfermline or Arbroath would have one more fixture than us if we got to the final and Partick would have won less. Most of the time the battle for 11th goes right to the wire, so I don't see an advantage. Interesting way of putting it, mate. I've never thought about it like that.
Very good way of putting it. And I think that this is, again, got to be debunked. Like, where folk always cry about it, like when they're not involved, but I'm like, right, for a start, we wanted kind of change, but the top flight clubs only got to vote to relegate themselves. That's never got to happen, is it? Like, they're got to take the most favourable deal, and whereby we only need to focus on the one playoff. But you're right, the seasons in that finish a lot earlier. But I think even if you look at the stats, it's not like it's heavily weighted in favour of, like, I mean, last year to get relegated, we get relegated, Hibs get relegated. Being the Premiership team, Partick Thistle as well, which Hamilton beat them over, or was it Livy? They beat them over 2 legs. Livy beat Partick over the 2 legs again. So again, it's eachy peachy when you actually look at it. But I think that's a fair point. But to reiterate as well, the Premiership clubs were never ever got to vote for. I know we'll play a couple extra games and potentially get in. They'll say, "Okay, it's bad enough to be involved in it," but they're probably got to take the 2-legged. That makes more sense for them. Safeguarding.
Tommy G says, do you prefer existential, philosophical and ethical dilemma questions, or the ones about how much have you, or the ones about how much you have to toast the bread before it's considered burnt?
Both. Can have both.
We can have both. I actually think that the toast question is philosophical, mate, because I think, you know, you can apply that to loads of. He also asked, do we have free will, or is everything predetermined?
An element of free will.
Aye, we don't know how much free will we've got.
Aye, it's a good way to put it.
And then he also asks, have you ever, how much do you have to have toasted the bread before it's considered burnt?
See, I'm a bit of an oddball, man. I like my bread lightly toasted.
I get slagged a lot in my house. My wife says I'm shit. She thinks I'm a great cook, but she says I'm shit at making toast.
How would you do?
Because I might was too early. I just don't want it to be burnt.
Same, it ruins it.
Aye.
Whereas I'm like, I would go as far as warm bread, man.
Alright.
I can deal with it.
Like a wee bit of...
No, of course I do.
Wee crunch in it.
What colour would you have it?
I
mean, that's too dark, innit?
The squirrel there?
Aye,
that is probably a wee smidgen too dark.
The hand.
The hand, aye. Bite the hand that feeds. Changing Man asks if you could take one player from any other any other team in the bottom 6 to play the last 4 matches, who would you pick?
Robbie Muirhead, obviously.
Pig Robster.
Who, the wee man got his boots?
I did, man, classmate, aye.
Well, that's a good question. I've not actually really thought about that. Probably talking a half decent centre half or something like that.
Would be good, aye.
Gogic, man.
Luke Graham, good player.
Luke Graham's good. He's impressed me every time.
Aye,
probably somebody more experienced though.
Aye.
Who that is? I don't know. I'm probably describing somebody that doesn't exist.
Gogic is quite a good shout, actually.
Scores OG at the weekend,
It's a shit house, isn't he? Right, we'll go over to the X. Martin Wall gets in touch with Salopian Kelly. Who's your European team? Mine is Malaga. Kelly European, mate. Nah, right, who else?
Speaking of which, how cool was that Copenhagen tap?
Aye, very smart.
I went to try and buy it yesterday, but sold it.
With a gold Adidas Trayfield. Very smart.
European side, getting conflicted. I used to at some point kind of adopt a team for every other country to have some kind of vested interest. I said I don't really care about football with Kelly anymore, but probably go as far as saying I like Inter Milan, but I like Napoli and all. So that's like a conflict anyway, because the two of them hate each other. And I like Real Madrid now, man.
Aye.
As I told you, the guy at Bernabeu kind of changed viewpoint on that, and I hate Barcelona with a passion.
Alright, okay. I don't really have one. The only team that I look at for the results is the team for Albufeira, FC Immortal, and I've got their strip.
Did they play at
They're on
level?
like the juniors, the Algarve League. I think if they win like 2 promotions, they'd get to like the 3rd division or something like that.
I liked
quite like looking out for them.
Didn't mind Schalke and all because of Huntelaar.
Aye.
And I went to the ground in that. Saw Huntelaar score a penalty, man.
Good man, exciting. He also asks, what's worse, Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage or Gone in 60 Seconds with Kelly?
I've
never seen the Nicolas Cage one, mate, so...
How do you rate Nicolas Cage as an actor?
Terrified for him in that. He's in that Long Legs.
No.
Fuck. Scary, mate. I'm the one to scary film. I watched Frankenstein the other night, actually.
The original, obviously.
No, the one that was at 2025.
Oh, right.
Christoph Waltz is in it. Benicio del Toro, I think.
Oh, right.
Quite good, but that long legs with Nicolas Cage, man, it's freaky, man. Like even
Is he the villain?
He like plays like a murderer guy in it, and he's had like plastic surgery and all that. Anyway, just it's freaky. Nicolas Cage, no for me really, no bothered.
No,
Bit mad, ain't he? Crack it.
Aye, and I know that's deliberate. Like he like overacts, like that's his pattern in it. Try to think, you seen that film Mandy? No. It was kind of bizarre in that. It was a kind of indie film, came out kind of 2019, but 9mm. You seen that one?
No.
Gandolfini's in it.
Oh, is it?
And Joaquin Phoenix.
All right, good lineup that, man.
Aye.
Right, the real boy that gets in touch. If we survive 60 seconds at Paisley, we should celebrate it like a goal. This streak can't have happened before. Also, wondering who you fancying for the snooker now. Jing Tong for
What
me.
was the Higgins score?
Higgins won 13-12.
Good.
And absolutely unbelievable last session of snooker.
Seen they were drawing
phenomenal.
10 each in afternoon, and I didn't get the chance to.
The
catch
drama
it.
was sensational. So I've actually put money on Wu Yizza. Put it on a few months ago because I met him up in Edinburgh. So I would like him to win it, but I can't see past the current champion, mate. We'll see. And which Kelly player do you think would be good at snooker? I reckon Rory might have a solid 80 break in him. Mackenzie's the type he's good
at everything.
Probably could play tennis, probably could play golf. Well, he's brilliant at golf, isn't he?
Aye. Gary Dicker and Power used to go into the Pyramid and play snooker.
Oh, did he?
I think, quite a lot. I'm trying to think.
Snooker loopy.
Aye. Trying to think of just boys at Dempster's good at snooker.
Oh, aye.
Robbie Muir, he's good at snooker. He's good at everything.
I'd love to be good at snooker.
Again, I've played it and I'm like, you're capable of a moment of brilliance.
Aye, there's been points in my life where I've played snooker and I'm like, if somebody was watching
Aye,
for that 45 seconds, like, he can play, but then they watch the next 45 seconds and it's no good.
Awful. It's the most frustrating game in the world, but it's so good.
The skill levels are off the charts. Aye, Rory would be good, and also think you could get Brad Lyons in and you could wear the big Dennis Taylor specs. Gunnar Vance, most handsome man in Europe, if not the world. Alright, lads, it was a pleasure meeting Cal on Friday.
You just missed him?
Whereabouts?
When we were at Rugby Park. And he came over and was chatting, man.
Got it,
to a couple of folk. And it's funny, actually, before you finished that, Graham Traynor got in touch with us and said that him and his boy Jude follow Kelly up and down the country everywhere as well. And somebody came up to him and asked him if he was Gunnar Vance, and he felt privileged.
Oh, what a buzz, man. Why has he never asked me that?
And he's like, no, but he was pissed himself for ages, but like, okay, somebody actually thought I was Gunnar Vance, man. So
excellent, mate.
There we go, man.
He says it also says, don't get the comments about the performance on Saturday. I thought we played well, we just couldn't hit the net. Always going to be the case after losing John Jules, which folk forget. Like, he was a talisman, man. We're probably 36 or 37 points if we've got him because he was so important to us. But 10 points incoming, he says. Alan Agnew, right, I'm not listening to the manager anymore on match day. It's the same rubbish being spouted. I kind of a wee bit get that. I'm a wee bit kind of like, alright. But anyway, I might be just being crap at the night. When are you getting a decent car, Cal? Did you not check it before you travelled?
Man.
He's addressed the car thing, Alan. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. Driving about in Anne's green Mazda the now.
You can't miss us, man.
Beautiful. Matt says, what song would you guys pick for your entrance music for the WWE World Title fight at next year's WrestleMania? And what Kelly player would make the best wrestler to fight in the match? Also, have you tried the fried egg sandwich with salad cream yet? I haven't, mate. I haven't tried it, but I will try it. What would your entrance music be?
No particularly for WrestleMania, but I've always said Beastie Boys Sabotage would be
a good one, aye.
And that's one that I would take with me.
I would go with Cochise by Audioslave.
Alright,
Aye, something really fiery. Who think's the best wrestler out of the Kelly squad at the minute? And remember, best wrestler isn't the best fighter.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Who are you thinking?
I can't put a name.
I think Shoring Larson's got a bit of technical ability, a bit of Dean Malenko about him. You know what I mean? Kind of technical wizardry. I'll go with him. Scott Allison says, what has Lewis Mayo done to McCann to not get the nod ahead of Thompson when Brandon went off injured? Covered that, mate. A like for like swap instead of messing about with Larson switching sides. We then had Dom taking more or less all the free kicks despite him starting on the bench. Makes no sense. Aye, mate, we've covered that one. A bit strange. Right, the Click gets in touch. Dalen, if there was an opportunity for a big financial takeover at Kelly, would you oppose the idea or welcome it? Would it still be the club you fell in love with? Watching it become less about the community values and focusing strictly on commercialism?
So like some kind of Wrexham situation here.
Aye.
Again, we all keep going on about you want root it in the community and that, but price of success.
Aye, it would be class, wouldn't it? It would be the best thing in the world. Imagine some billionaire was like, oh, have we got Kelly put in £15 million? Be so good. Hey, Billy Bowie's putting a lot of money, man. I think we forget that sometimes.
Aye, agreed.
We actually do have a benefactor. But aye, never mind the community values, mate.
Aye.
I'm 40, man. I'm selfish now.
And speaking of which, I think that Hearts have got to that, man.
You think Hearts will win the league?
Honestly, aye.
Aye.
I genuinely think that. And again, my outside shout is I think they'll win it before they go to Parkhead on the last day.
Oh my goodness gracious.
All they need to do is get to 80 points. We'll take 4 points from Motherwell and Rangers and then beat Falkirk, and that'll be enough because Celtic will drop points. Sorry, Stu, man, but Rangers are at it, aren't they, man?
Well, it's interesting.
Unless Rangers beat Hearts, which again,
I think Rangers will beat her. I think Celtic will end up winning it now, which I think is such a scunner for the full league. But the way I think Rangers will go and beat Hearts, and I just think Celtic will just win now.
I honestly believe Hearts will do it now. And Kenwick's kind of weird. I'm not really caring anymore.
No? What's that like?
Honestly, man, I don't know. I
don't care.
I'm kind of a bit like Kenwick. See if they do it, I'm like, that actually is good. Whereas at 4, I'm like, I can't stand see McInnes and that. I'm just like, I think I'm maybe over it a wee bit.
Are you, man?
No, I don't know why I'm lying to myself here, but I just think that yesterday there was a element of acceptance. I'm like, I think they will do it. Like when I
hope they did it. I hope they did it. But when they did it, I'll watch them lift the cup. Now I can't listen to McCann talk. I can't do that to myself. Peter says, I appreciate McCann has managed to get some improvement out of the squad. However, too much, too late, in my opinion. Surely getting the best players in the park is what matters. That means getting Mail back in, Max back in nets, made defence seem more reassured. So that's a good point there.
Come back down to that when to speak about Tommy Wright not playing Malumbu, it was a big thing, and for a second I'm not comparing Lewis Mail to Malumbu and what they were capable of, but I think you need to get Mail back in, especially and again I know he's not been great, but he's been through it all his ways as well, you know what I mean? He's got experience when we're lacking experience, and I know Mail's still relatively young, but the amount of games he's played for Kelly, it's like I think he's got to come in. 160 games.
Aye, I would get Mail back in the team, mate. Kevin says, are we still waving and not drowning? Lifeguard sleeping, girl drowning, Morrissey song. Do you know it?
No, but I like the t-shirt.
Thanks, man. This isn't a political statement, by the way. I just love these music.
Can you separate the artist? I can as well. I remember arguing with a lot of folk about that.
Well, I suppose it depends on how, you know, how badly has the artist transgressed.
But folk could argue that Morrissey's completely lost, but I don't care.
Morrissey's maybe lost the plot and you don't agree with his political leanings. I'm on that boat, but he's not committed a crime or anything. You know what I mean? There are certain artists and certain wrestlers who done heinous crimes, so you need to take them off your Mount Rushmore.
You're too woke, man. You're into the cancel culture.
The woker at it's me to put all these stickers out of the place. The Polanski thing, I'm only joking at Disney. We're still waving, mate, don't worry. Gavin Housen says, the faith is back. I think we'll have enough for 10. I'm liking this, man. Different looking defence on Saturday, first set is 60 seconds apart thanks to Max. And when was the last time we had 60% possession at Pittodrie? On another day, one of those chances goes in and it's a different outcome. Good buzz, Gav.
I like it, but again, I think that we've got to weigh up, in as much as we've said we can take the positives for it, but I mean, Robinson's style is like I mean, they got ahead, like they surrender possession and that, but don't get me wrong, it's a good point to bring up. When was the last time we ever even came close to having 60% possession? But again, I think that, you know, it's twofold there, man.
Twofold,
not just all
mate.
as Kelly.
No, it isn't. And we've got a message here. Now, this guy's actually knows a lot of people in at Ibrox, so I don't know if he's maybe got a wee bit of inside knowledge here. His name's Stu Forsyth, and he says, James Tavernier, free agent at the end of the season, would you take him at Kelly?
Oh, absolutely, man.
Aye. So I've heard a rumour. I heard it on Friday actually, and this was another guy who knows quite a lot about Rangers, is friendly with some Rangers players and ex-players, and said there's that is an option for Tav.
Aye.
Club captain, coaching staff, 2-year contract, lead us on to the great new dawn.
Him and McCann, mate.
Tav, so Shoning Larson at left back, Tav at right back next season, yes or no?
Oh, well, absolutely.
Taking it, aye.
But it ain't happening.
No?
Nah.
How? You're just doing the night, man. Just because I caught you. So your cost of Brexit and we do get to sign James Tavernier then? I mean, is that how this works out, man?
That's exactly how it works out, man. Folks should be putting their money in to get me a new car, man. But nah.
Billy Bowie, man, get this guy a car. When you're driving about in that big giant tanker thing.
Still wouldn't make it to Aberdeen.
The big monster truck, man. You still stole it.
I mean, these are the... Again, it's like, football's changed so much. Like, Gav Wilson, good. He made a thing with saying surely the name of the pod's got to be Gary McClutch. Gary McClutch.
Aye, that's some niche pattern, man.
But he's like, but again, I'm looking at that picture there. Gerard McCoy done it. You know what I mean? Like
Nevin, Chris Innes.
All right, so Gerard McCoy's won't be in it then. I just looked.
There's Gerranti there. I don't see McCoist. There, see McCoist. See Eric Black.
Aye, Nevin
see
was
Gus Hollis. Gary Hope, friend at Pod. Gary Hay, friend at Pod. Gary McCutcheon's there. No, I don't think McCoy's actually in it.
Aye,
Jim Loughlin.
Yeah. But long story short, you don't see like the
Aye,
players
these
like
signings
that
don't happen anymore,
and
do they?
filtered in, and like it's depressing, man. So Tommy, like again, we speak about the monumental signing of Tommy Burns and what he done for the club. Like, he had offers to sign for Hibs and all that, and that fighting, but no, he went to Kelly like at 33.
Why would you sign for Kelly? What would make you sign for Kelly?
Us to talk about you.
Listen, biggest and best provincial club in Scotland. Nobody will ever convince me otherwise, right? We're a sleeping giant, mate, in this fucking country. People need to fucking remember that. So we pack out Rugby Park on Saturday, we make it hostile, we make it horrible, we go after them, we don't concede early, we beat them 3-0, we put a marker down, and then we've got them shaking in their boots, mate, up to St Mirren, cuff them Tade down the road, keep your League Cup, enjoy it in the playoffs. Dundee come down, Stephen Presley, man, shaking Stevens, get him moving, pump them and all. Then up to Livingston, 8,000 he is, man, into Legoland, Robbie's our, try to get into the crowd and all that, man.
Shaking Stevens.
We're going to do it, it's fine. I've changed my mind. Long live
Have you
Ray
actually,
McCann.
or are you just playing up, man?
I just want to rally the troops a bit, mate, 'cause that's my bit
Red
flat
Bull, man,
tonight.
that's
They're
right.
I'm going to fucking kill you. Aye, right, okay. Thanks everybody for your questions. We always appreciate it. And thanks everybody who remains to this day still somebody that likes and shares things and all that. Ali Nevin sent us a question and on. I nearly forgot, but Ali, I've remembered.
Oh, it's got to come in, man.
The Nev.
Because he missed it last week, didn't
The
he?
Nev is on fire. Right, you ready? Mm-hmm. I think this is... He needs a Red Bull. Right, question for the pod. When did you last feel disconnected to the club, if at all? Currently this year, I've just watched myself slide into a cycle of discontent with those in the park and the dugout in the background. It's not brought me much joy. I didn't feel anywhere near the disconnecting COVID, despite not being in the ground or even at the end of the MJ era. I can and will give Bowie and the board a lot of praise for what they've done for Kilmarnock. However, since the McInnes exit, I've seen nothing but negativity and poor decisions at all facets of the club. I appreciate this is my opinion. It will not be shared by others who take joy in things from Kelly. I openly fear relegation, and with what I'm watching, if we do survive, it's actually just delaying the inevitable.
Can I
Should have done that and then
No,
the
you
provincial
should have,
club
man.
rant.
Ruined it, man. I mean, I hard to disagree with a lot of what the Niv says, but I'm wanting to drink out the Red Bull can that you've got.
The Loving Cup.
The Loving Cup, man. So, aye, I'm with that. But I've just thought of an good cover.
Alright, let's end on that note.
So, talk about making a song you're in.
Penny Arcade by the Drunken Blues Band.
Aye, the Thornley brothers or Thornley boys or something.
Right.
That's like the big Rangers folk singers.
Right.
Johnny Was by Stiff Little Fingers.
Wow.
Bob Marley song.
Ah, right, okay, there you go.
Again, completely different.
Go totally different.
It's
Right.
absolutely class.
We'll check it out, man. Right, the Nev. I'm going to maybe try and meet the Nev on Wednesday and I'm going to lift him up. I'm going to lift his spirits, man. Prediction for Saturday. Home to Dundee United.
We'll win.
We'll win. What will the scoreline be?
Because we have to.
We'll win 2-1.
Oh, even that's too nervy.
Aye, we'll win 2-1 on Saturday.
How's the sequence?
Sequence will be, we will score first, Joe Hugo will score, Dundee United will score just before half time, and then with around 65 minutes we'll cut infield, strike Nicky Klashenko with a goal, and we'll hang on and win 2-1, saving the last minute with Big Max. There we go, folks. Heard it here first. Get your house on it. It's going to happen.
Let's go for it.
Right, okay everybody, thanks so much for listening. Thanks for paying attention. We've only got 3 or 4 episodes of the season still to go, but if you want a wee bit more,
I was going to say that the seasons genuinely they keep getting longer.
They
If we're
do.
at 42 then now.
42, that was normally...
What?
Aye, 42
How's that
episodes.
possible?
Folk must be getting sick of us. I'm getting sick of us. But if you want to be more, we're over on the Patreon. We're going to be talking about Alec Dyer tonight because he's got promoted with Bromley and stuff like that. We might have something very special coming this week as well. Couple of things, but we'll leave you on tenterhooks as it is. Is that all right with you?
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink, nod, nod. Right, okay, thanks for your company, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for listening. Enjoy your time on Saturday up the Killie. 2-1, let's do it. All right, have a good one. See you later.